Hi, my name's Pearl Ryle and I'm the Volunteer Development Manager for the WEA.
My name's Fema Crindle and I work here at the WEA alongside Pearl, and today we're going to run you through some of the details of the Learn to Succeed programme, which is taking place in parts of England, Scotland and Wales.
Okay, I'm Peter Templeton. I'm just going to ask a few questions to help me understand the programme. Fiona, can you just give me a quick overview of the project?
Of course. So it's a unique relationship between Lloyds Banking Group and the WEA, and it's a celebration of Scottish Widows' 200th anniversary. And it's a 2-year project that's taking place across parts of England, Scotland and Wales, in which over 400 volunteers will help over 2,015 students.
Pearl, the overview. Give me a sense of what the sessions are and how they work.
Okay, we're going to be running 3 different kinds of session, which will be very flexible in terms of their structure, content and activities, but will have a common set of outcomes and framework. This is because every session is different, every class is different and it needs to be appropriate. Out of this, the volunteers will be going into WEA classes and groups. They'll have an opportunity to understand the challenges that are faced by WEA students. The students will get an opportunity to practice their language skills, their speaking and listening, and to also get an insight into the world of work.
Well, just going through those sessions, Fiona, could you just outline what the introductory session involves?
Of course. So the introductory session is the first session that we're offering. In a typical class there'll be 2 volunteers. Those 2 volunteers will be required to turn up to the session 15 minutes before. They'll be able to then sort of have a brief introduction with the tutor and find out a little bit about who's in the class, what level the class is working at and so on. They'll also be required to stay 15 minutes after the session just to feed back on how they felt it went and anything that they think might be important to get back to the tutor. Essentially they're acting as a classroom assistant, and as part of that they'll be able to do an icebreaker at the beginning of the class. So for this they'll be creating 1 slide in a pre-made PowerPoint presentation, and this will just include a little bit of information about themselves, their job title and why they're there. For the tutor, the session will run as normal, and then for the student it's just a great opportunity to get some speaking and listening practice.
Okay, so the tutor's got an extra pair of hands in the classroom, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Pearl, tell me about the Skillshare sessions.
Okay, well the Skillshare is a kind of progression from that introductory session really. We would normally have 2 volunteers, although it's not prescriptive, working with a smaller group of students who have signed up for the extra session, having already been at an introductory session. And this really just provides a free, open opportunity for conversation about a whole range of topics. Because it obviously might be new for the volunteer to actually be facilitating sessions like that, we're providing a toolkit, some resources about typical topics that people could look at, how they can find materials, suggestions about how to run the session, and a short video that they can watch beforehand by way of preparation. So hopefully the volunteers go in feeling confident, and again the students just get a really good opportunity to talk with people who representing people they meet in everyday life, so people like teachers or doctors or service providers that they need to be able to talk to.
What about the employability workshops?
Okay, so the employability workshop is the 3rd session that we're offering, and it's more of a workshop. They are likely to last between 4 and 5 hours, and within this time lunch will be provided. The number of volunteers will be determined by the size of the class, but as a rule there'll probably be 1 volunteer for every 2 students. The volunteers will come in and they will spend the first hour of the session with either a tutor or a local facilitator. This will give them an insight into the barriers that are faced by WEA students. Within the session, the students will get a chance to identify their skills and qualities and to turn these into effective statements for their CV. And the volunteers will also get to conduct a mock interview, which has been really successful so far.
So what's the benefits to the students in those employability workshops?
Well, they'll be able to identify their skills and qualities, and it's a real confidence boost, I think, for a lot of students to have the interview and sort of identify skills.
So this is a big project. We need to know how it's going. How does the feedback system work?
Yeah, no, feedback's going to be really important, and we'll be aiming to collect feedback from everybody involved with the project. So we'll have simple feedback forms for students, and we'll be asking tutors or the volunteers leading Skillshare sessions and the employability workshops to get students to fill in the feedback forms and send those back to FEE here in Bristol. With volunteers, we're using an online SurveyMonkey, so that we'll be asking all volunteers to feed back into that so that we can collate that information across the whole programme and across all 3 countries. Tutors, we really welcome immediate feedback after a class by email or a phone call, but we'll also be running some group sessions so that we can again get some collective feedback to share topics and resources, look at what things have worked and how we need to change things going forward.
So it sounds that once it's all working, the relationship between the WA tutor and the volunteer coming in is really important. Anything on that you want to say?
Sure, well I think from our initial feedback, both the volunteers and the tutors highlighted the importance of communication prior to the class. So what we're sort of offering is the option to have a quick phone call between the tutor and the volunteer prior to the session, be able to introduce yourselves and just get an understanding of what you might expect from the class. So if this is something that you think you might be interested in, if you get in touch with me, then I'll be able to facilitate such a conversation.
Excellent. Thank you very much.